Data protection and privacy teams are under more pressure than ever with new laws, AI oversight, data breaches, and the constant expectation to do more with fewer resources.
That's why TrustArc built a modern privacy and data protection management platform powered by Arc Intelligence. It unifies your tools, automates the work that slows you down, and surfaces what matters most right when you need it.
From guided quick actions to our intelligent assistant, Ask Arc, you get credible, contextual answers backed by expert research, not generic AI guesses.
Finally, privacy that works the way privacy pros work.
Learn how TrustArc helps teams move faster with confidence at trustarc.com/serious-privacy. That's trustarc.com/serious-privacy.
You're listening to Serious Privacy by TrustArc. Please welcome our hosts, Paul Breitbarth and Kay Royal.
For anyone listening to this podcast, the name Max Schrems should ring a bell, and also NOYB, an acronym for None of Your Business, probably sounds familiar. NOYB is the consumer rights group founded by Max Schrems. Based in Vienna, this data protection watchdog likes to put major topics on the plate of the data protection authorities and the courts. From forced consent to shady cookie banners, and from advertising in dating apps to, yes, indeed, international transfers. Our guest today, Romain Robert, is the program director and the senior lawyer for NOYB, actively participating in their research and litigation strategy. Romain is also a member of the litigation chamber of the Belgian Data Protection Authority and previously worked as a legal advisor for both the Belgian DPA and the European Data Protection Supervisor. I'm sure we are in for a great conversation on enforcing the GDPR, e-privacy, and how to best protect the fundamental right to data protection. My name is Paul Breitbarth.
And I'm Kay Royal, and welcome to Serious Privacy. So thank you so much for joining us today. I have a feeling it's going to be a fabulous conversation. I'm sensing some good personality vibes going on already. So, are you ready for the unexpected question?
I'm almost ready. Thank you for having me.
He's like, almost ready.
I hope I'm ready. We will see it later. I don't know. It is so cool to hear this introduction that I hear every week on my biking trip to the office. You know, I'm Paul Breitbarth and I'm Kay Royal. And it's real. You really exist. I can see you.
Yes.
We really, really exist. And now you have a face to go along with the rolling eyes you hear so much. Okay, beautiful. The unexpected question is, what is your favorite brunch food?
I think, that's an interesting one. I think I had it last Sunday, actually. I had avocado lax, so salmon, and I think the most important, and I think that was the thing that just decided me. There was a glass of Prosecco with the brunch on Sunday. So I think the fish, avocado, and Prosecco was the perfect combination for me. I'm not used to drink on a Sunday at noon, but I think it was really the most interesting
You're also
part
not opposed.
I'm not opposed to that, yeah. I don't have a policy about it.
What about you, Paul? Back to the Kay and Paul cooking show.
Yes, back to the cooking show. Well, avocado and salmon sounds really good. I think for me it would be probably salmon ex Benedict, because I'm not very good at poaching eggs, so somebody else poaching an egg and making some béarnaise would be really nice, or hollandaise, and that would probably be my first option. Although I must say that the Danish smørrebrød that I had during my vacation, all kinds of rye bread sandwiches, open sandwiches with all kinds of different toppings, that is a very good second best.
Ooh. All right, I'm going to be a putz here. Mine's going to be the gluten-free Belgian waffles, although I don't know how close to Belgium the Belgian
What?
waffles
Can you
in the
repeat?
US
I'm
are.
so offended. Gluten-free Belgian waffles? You know that I'm Belgian, right? So it's on purpose.
Nice.
My God, you didn't say that.
Yes.
I cannot believe that.
Yes. With powdered sugar and berries. I don't like syrup.
Okay. Even better, because, Belgian waffles should not be eaten with anything else. No whipped cream, no chocolate. It is just for tourists. The real one is without anything.
Ooh. But do they put stuff in the waffles?
No, just
Just
sugar.
the plain
sugar
waffle.
and again sugar and sugar. But definitely gluten. Listen, I just hope that you're going to be at the IPP in Brussels in November.
I'm hoping, keeping my fingers
if I
crossed.
meet you there, I would just bring you a real Belgian waffles.
I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to hold you to it. Okay.
Deal. We have a deal.
We have a deal. I like it.
Very good. That's the first piece of news coming out of this podcast. Kay is coming to Belgium.
All righty. So where are we starting, Paul? There's so much to start with. What's your first question?
I know. Well, maybe just help us understand a bit better what NOYB is. I mean, everybody can look at the website and read all the promo materials that you have on there. But what is NOYB? How do you work? What do you do? How many are you?
Okay, I'm going to throw something on top of Paul's question. What is NOYB not?
That's also an interesting question. NOYB is, first of all, I think, a very difficult name to pronounce. I think we can all agree on that, right? And I think PR-wise, it was quite of a success because people are still struggling to understand and to pronounce NOYB. So NOYB stands, as you explained, Paul, for none of your business. But it's also, there is a nice, more serious, let's say, name for NOYB. As you can see, it's also European Center for Digital Rights. And I think it's more self-explanatory for the non-lawyers and the non-privacy expert. So none of your business is basically, of course, focusing on privacy, but also on digital rights. It's an NGO funded by Max Schrems that I think all the people a little bit acquainted with privacy already heard.
If they don't, they need to go learn it.
Maybe they could. But, we just still meet some candidates, for example, applying to NOYB, but not really knowing everything about Schrems 1 and Schrems 2. And so it's still interesting to see that not everybody is on the same page regarding the case law of the Court of Justice. So Max decided to found the NGO, I think, 4 years ago. For the anecdote, because he loved to explain it, I think he wanted to commit to found the NGO if it was reaching, I think, 2,000 members. And he was not really lucky because it was above 2,000 members after 2 months. So he had to do it. So he made a promise and he had to do it. And it's like, okay, no, I have to do it. I have no choice. I have to set up this NGO. And he did.
Nice.
And I think it's really a nice project that he wanted to do. 3 years ago, I think there were just two of us, the two of them with the office manager, Monica, setting up the office, installing the tables, And after 3 years, we are an NGO focusing on strategic litigation, meaning that you don't do lobbying on or policy making. We do strategy litigation, which is basically filing complaints with the DPAs, but also court litigation. It's going to be, I guess, next year, one of the main development in our activity. I would say court litigation instead of DPA litigation. We are now a team of 6 permanent lawyers in the legal team. We have 3 to 4 trainees supporting our team, and they are not really supporting. They're really part of the team, of the legal team. On top of that, we have also 2 communication managers, 1 office manager, 1 accountant, and 3 tech guys, I would say even like 4 tech people. And I'm sure I forgot one of them who just arrived 1 month ago, is also assisting with the admin and other stuff. So we're kind of a huge team because they started only with 2 people 3 years ago. And we are now, I think, 16. So it's kind of...
So the tech people you mentioned, are those tech people supporting you like an IT department, or are they really doing the technical work in your investigation?
Exactly. So they are
litigation?
Yeah, it's really full stack. So it's, first of all, they also basically support us with the IT stuff, but it's not really their job. It's not really what they are, I think, hired for, because we can also do it ourselves. And usually the tech thing is also done by the lawyers, and it's very important to be, multidisciplinary. And a nice example of the work of the tech people in our team is the cookie complaint. And I'm sure we're going to talk about it. I think it's on a legal tech perspective, and especially in my experience, I've never seen that in my life. It's this interaction between law and technology and law, because you usually do technology law, but not really, legal tech as such. And I think the cookie project was really a nice interaction between the legal team and the tech people that we have in NOYB. Pretty cool interaction, I would say, because they really developed the tool to analyze, legally speaking, all the cookie policy of the website, as you know. Sorry, I'm maybe too long in explaining that already, but I really think that's a nice advantage that we have at NOYB, to have tech people really understanding what is the privacy aspect, and also having a lawyer and a legal team which just can dialogue very easily with the tech people that we have in our team. And the interaction is quite magical. When I see the tool, I remember the trainees arriving 3 months ago, we explained to them, that is the tool that we're going to use for the cookie complaint. They were like, wow, guys, you should sell it to the other people. But as you know, we are an NGO. We're not supposed to make profits. So we were like, okay.
But you can sell
source.
it and still not count it as
We
profit.
will give it, share it. Sharing is caring.
That's right. Exactly.
So that's what an NGO, as an NGO, that's why we doing complaints, court litigation. We are funded by members, mainly by members. We have now more than 4,400 members supporting NOYBs. We also some subsidies from the city of Wien. We are based in Vienna. It's also very interesting to mention. And we also cooperate with universities, other NGOs. We are a member of the European Digital Right, the EDRI. I'm sure you know them, the NGO based in Brussels, which is doing basically all the advocacy and the policy work since we don't really focus on this area. Basically, that's it. I think I hope it's giving you a nice idea of what is NOYB. About your question of what is not NOYB, I would say NOYB is not a DPA, and that a lot of people do not understand. And it's also funny because you see that we have a lot of emails from people writing to NOYB to ask us, what are you doing? You don't do anything against these people. This website is not compliant. Do your job. It's like, okay, guys, but we are not the DPAs.
Like we're doing our job.
We're just an NGO. We're trying to do that. It's not really doing the job of the DPAs, you know. It's just like, as I think it's nicely explained on the website, it's really filling the gap between the law and the practice. So it's really like supporting the work of DPAs and trying not to overwhelm the DPAs with all the complaints that we're doing, because, you know, with the cookie complaint, we totally understood that it would be a huge burden for the DPAs to handle. So we're trying to make this compliance pre-notification. I'm sure you read about it. And so the focus is not to enforce absolutely, it's not to have fines, it's just to reach compliance. And I think the cookie complaint is also a nice example of what is the objective of NOYB. It's just reaching compliance, basically.
Right.
Very good. For full transparency, I should mention that I am a member of NOYB, member number 29 if I look at my membership card.
Nice.
Well, you can make up for that.
It's nice that you mention it, because for all the people listening to this podcast, I think it's really easy to become a member. Just go to noyb.eu and you will just find easily how to become a member and a supporting member of NOYB. So we always accept donation for sure.
Do you have members in the U.S.?
We have a lot of members in the U.S. actually. We have a lot. I think the majority of the members are coming from Austria and Germany, and I think we have a lot of members coming from the U.S. and the rest of Europe, even Japan, in all continents, I would say.
That's fabulous.
We have a lot of members. We even have members from China, I think 6 months ago. I don't even know why. So it's really interesting to see. It's really cool. And a lot of members from the UK, yeah.
Yeah, probably because China is starting to
exactly
somewhat about privacy now.
So it's really the community of members who are supporting NOYB, and it's also not supporting financially. It's really interesting, and it's super cool to see people writing, oh guys, after the Schrems 2 decision, I must tell you this anecdote. In July, we received these emails of people that are like, guys, it's the best 50 euros I ever invested in my life. And it's so great to read this kind of email when you work for an NGO, you know, your members saying, oh, guys, it's so great. Thank you. And it's really rewarding.
Yeah.
I can only imagine, although it also gave us a lot of headaches, the decision. Not unexpectedly, and probably with good reason, but finding good answers to the questions raised by the court and the challenges set by the court is still quite difficult.
Yeah, but there's no resentment.
So what is... No, not at all.
No, of course. Come on. I think everybody's doing this job. As you know, it's not Max or NOYB who just decided on the case. So it's a long story, you know, like I think we had to go back to the court for a second time. And a lot of people are asking, is it going to be a Schrems 3? And I can promise you that the first persons who do not want to have a Schrems 3, it's maybe the legal team at NOYB. So we would prefer to avoid a litigation at the court for the third time for sure. But as you know, okay, it has to be done. But I really can assure you that I think it's not really a walk in the park to go to the Court of Justice, and especially not for the third time and for the same.
Yeah. Of course. So Romain, what from all the things that you have done, because even though NOYB is a young organization, the number of projects that you have run so far are quite large. What is your favorite to date?
You mean my favorite personally?
Yeah.
Actually, it's really tough to answer. I would say, because it's maybe my personal litigation case, the case that I had against the Luxembourg DPA, where basically the Luxembourg DPA decided that against his company Apollo and Rocket Reach, this company's, this website, scraping the internet, LinkedIn, and all these social media websites to collect data and to sell them to companies based in the EU. And basically the DPAs had said, guys, I can't do anything anyway because these companies, they are not established in the EU and they don't have a representative in the EU. And as an NGO focusing on enforcement of privacy, because maybe now I have the answer to the question that you just asked 5 minutes ago. We are focusing, of course, on enforcement of data protection. That's the main objective of NOYB. We could not leave this unanswered by the DPA. So we went to court and we're just now waiting for the answers of the CNDP, which is the Luxembourg DPA, to know what they have to say about this lack of enforcement. Because just saying that basically these people are not based in the EU, they don't have any representative, so therefore we cannot say anything. It's a little bit,
disingenuous.
Yeah. So I think I like this case because it just shows that even if DPAs, and I totally understand the difficulty for a DPA to enforce a decision outside of the EU, it doesn't prevent you to adopt a decision against these people. And then the enforcement of the decision is another aspect. But in the first phase, you have to issue a decision. And then we will see and we will figure it out how to enforce it against these people.
Well, because isn't part of the question the fact that what was the company that we talked about before, Paul?
LocateMyFamily.com.
It's the same thing.
Exactly. That they should have had a representative appointed in the EU and they didn't. So they're violating GDPR there by not appointing someone. And clearly they're offering their products or services to individuals in the EU. So it's interesting, the tactic that they take there. So I hope you get the right outcome for the decision. But it seems to me that you need the decision made if they're offering goods and services to EU. And if they were wrong on their own self-evaluation as to whether or not they are, having a few individuals in the EU doing business with them doesn't make you subject to GDPR. But if you have lots of individuals in the EU doing business, then you have individuals doing business.
No, totally. We can prove it. We just can prove they just address their business to the EU citizen, to companies, and a lot of EU companies are using the services. So they just pretend they are not subject to the GDPR. But as you say, it's very interesting because in our submission with the Luxembourg DPA, we totally refer to the Locate family of the Netherlands, saying like, guys, your colleague DPAs in the Netherlands did the opposite. They just decided against this company, even if they didn't have a representative. And also because they didn't have a representative. You cannot use the breach of the GDPR as an excuse to get away with murder, right? So that's basically what they say, guys. They are violating the GDPR and therefore we cannot do anything, which is even worse. It's really...
And are they a B2C company or a B2B?
It was a B2B.
Then maybe we will get that question answered, Paul.
Yeah, we are still debating heavily the question about the relation between Article 3.2 of the GDPR and Chapter 5.
And who is not, yeah.
When is a transfer? And what is a transfer, actually?
Because if you know the answer, I will just send you the gluten-free waffle immediately.
No,
I would love to know what is a transfer. I think it's a fair price, right? What is a transfer and gluten-free waffle? I think it's really... It's a fair.
Well, let us debate a bit more, and then we'll give you an answer in Brussels.
And let me quit drooling here.
So you mentioned already a few times the cookie project, analyzing and assessing 10,000 websites for compliance before the end of the year. What's the current number? How many have you completed?
So far, as you see, I'm sure you've read it already. We've just been through, I would say, at least 1,000 websites. Just to be correctly understood, I think we announced that we would just do 10,000 complaints within 1 year, but not before the end of the year. So otherwise we will be totally overwhelmed and we don't want these people to go into burnout, right? So I think it should be before next summer, let's say. We would have 10,000 complaints run by the system, this really wonderful system just built by the tech teams at NOYB. Of course, we will also more than probably switch to another cookie banner, the one of OneTrust, and I think it's not a surprise. We just have to reprogram the tool that we developed to allow it to analyze other cookie banners. Of course, teaser, we don't know which is going to be next, but I guess the message is that all should be prepared, right? It's a fair game. But I think everybody understood the rules. So far, we have I think you saw it, I guess. We have nice feedback. In terms of compliance, I think we're just approaching 50% of compliance from the websites to which we send a notification, the the warning, whatever you call it, the warning notification to say, guys, if you don't comply with it 1 month, we're going to file a complaint with the DPA. Only a few of them say, this is blackmail, this is unacceptable, And yeah, only a few, which is being compliant with the law is not blackmailing. Yes, okay. So this is blackmailing. We don't even ask money, guys. Maybe we should ask Belgian waffles, of course. I would love it because I meet them a lot in Vienna.
Belgian waffles will get you anywhere.
I would totally accept the French fries, the real Belgian French fries and waffles. This would be a nice blackmail. And the rest of the answers and the feedback that you answer was mostly positive. So a lot of people and companies and websites answer that they would comply or that they already complied. And it's also interesting, but it's a legal word, right? They basically say, we changed the cookie banner, but it's, of course, without any, help me with that, any...
Evidence?
Any recognition of any kind,
Got it. We changed it and we complied, but you didn't send out new letters.
Exactly. We changed it, but of course we were already compliant. But we changed it just to be nice. So
right.
I think it's also interesting. But so I think the success of this campaign is also that we tried to avoid as much as possible to find a final complaint with the DPAs, right? And at the end of the day, we will also see how many of these websites will comply during the proceeding with the DPAs.
Well, just on a personal note, depending on which cookie banner you go to next, feel free to add in there that your cookie banner provider provides the ability to be compliant. Just go
exactly,
ask them
and I'm sure you've seen it as well. So we were even providing a little guide how to be compliant and how to configure it and just do the setting right.
We've done that for our customers, obviously, too.
Yeah.
I mean,
so we had these little guys. The project was really huge. It was a lot of work, a huge amount. It was really a team effort. It was really interesting project, I would say. The trainees were totally involved as well. And we were going through the web pages for the whole day, for even 2-3 weeks. Because I was also doing that as well. So we were basically all data subjects. So we were the one on behalf of NOYB was filing the complaints. And I think we did at least 200 pages.
Wow.
In different countries. We had to translate. Of course, we had to translate all these templates. How I guess it was maybe clear on the website how it worked. So the legal team made a template with all the violation. We had several violations in the templates. And the IT tool developed by our colleagues, basically only copied and pasted this part of the template, which corresponded to the violation that the IT tool spotted on the website. So it's really a great work. But you still needed a human intervention, of course, to go on a website, to copy and paste the address of the controller, the email address to which we have to send a pre-notification email. And also the data subject, so the member of the team, will also agreed with the computer or not on the violation. So the computer is making a pre-assessment of the violation, and as a human, of course, you can see whether you agree with the computer or not. And sometimes
no fully automated decisions.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not subject to Article 22.
Not subject to Article 22. Don't be afraid. It has been checked.
Well, I'm curious. When you say that you had to have a human go to the sites to pull up how do you contact the company to let them know, how many sites was it really easy to find that contact information? And were there sites that they didn't have the contact information available?
I just had the example last week. I wanted to explain to an ex-colleague from the DPS how it worked. And I've been to this website. I don't remember which country it was. It was impossible to find an email or even the address of the controller. It was really a nightmare to find it. So in this case, we can also use the form because, that's usually these people not providing email can be contacted through a form. So the system just allows to contact the website through the form. But it's true that in some instances, but it's not that many, I would say 3%, not more. It's really a nightmare to find any details at all to send the pre-notification. That's true. Which is anyway a violation, as you know, of either the e-commerce or the GDPR anyway. So the e-commerce directive, providing the obligation to notify and to provide your address, your contact details, and an easy way to contact you.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be an Easter egg hunt. It's supposed to be very simple for individuals to know who to contact.
Exactly. But as a privacy professional, which is a struggle to find this information, it means it is not good, right?
Right.
Because you know where to look, generally.
Generally.
So how do you deal with the language requirements? Are you corresponding with these companies all in English, or are you making translations?
That's the beauty of it. So that's why we were working so much. We had to translate these templates in, I think, if I remember well, 9 languages.
Wow.
So the main languages of the EU, even in Portuguese, Bulgarian, it's crazy. The email.
But those are languages that are spoken within the office of NOYB.
But yeah, we were lucky enough to have Bulgarian trainees at this time. We can deal with cases in Polish, Spanish, Italian, German, French, Dutch, German, obviously. Let me think, Italian for sure. Bulgarian at this time, back then, so covering a lot of jurisdictions already, right? And we had to translate all the notification to the controller is in each of these languages, the templates, obviously, so the complaints themselves. That you cannot find anything at the CNIL in Portuguese, right? I think it's fair enough. And we had to translate the websites and, of course, the email to the DPAs, even if some DPAs accept to be contacted in English. But the complaint itself should be obviously in the language of the country when you file a complaint.
So that's also one of your challenges, I guess, to ensure that at NOYB as many languages as possible are spoken so that you can actually...
Totally. And that's why it's so important to cover more jurisdiction than only Austria and Germany, for obvious reason, because we are based in Austria and most of the colleagues just speaks German. We are filing mostly in Germany and in Austria. And of course, for the 101 complaint, it's the same story. And for the cookies complaint, we file half of it in Austria to avoid the one-stop shop. Not to avoid the one-stop shop, but because the one-stop shop was not applicable. So we could file it directly in Austria. But it's true that if you want to file a complaint, for example, in Poland is an interesting country because even the communication with the Polish DPA is quite funny, I would say. Because they still send us registered letter. So we just received last week. I had to sign 25 registered letter, paper letter that I haven't seen for years. And I had to sign every of them, and to return them to the Polish DPA to confirm that our complaints were received. That's an interesting issue.
And they were 25 different envelopes instead of being efficient and putting them all in one envelope.
To see and it's interesting to work at NOYB because you can see how the DPAs are working. The different DPAs have different methods, and apparently Poland is still stuck in a paper mail. So that's a lot of work for sure, not only for the languages but also to do the admin of the follow-up of this complaint.
For sure. But of course, you and I already had quite some experience of how the various DPAs work and could see a lot of their approaches also in all those Working Party 29 meetings. But I guess things have evolved a little as well since we both left.
Yeah, it's true because Paul and I, maybe we didn't mention it, we were working together, right, Paul?
Well, I mean, people know that I worked at the DPA by now, and I mentioned you did. So I think a lot of people may have realized that we know each other from previous lives. No, but it's interesting to see how indeed DPAs are dealing with the various issues. And I must say, I'm not sure what that is for you, but I'm surprised how long these investigations all take. From what I recall, back in the days of the Data Protection Directive, things seem to go faster than they currently do.
I would agree. And it's not only the one-stop shop, I think. I would say that...
Are DPAs becoming more thorough?
I think so. They feel the pressure, and I think it's very difficult to be in a DPA. And as you know, I have this double hat. Like I also an external member of the Belgian DPA as well. Of course, avoiding any case which might involve like a conflict of interest with NOYB cases, of course, but they still leave a lot of other cases on the table. And it's really difficult for a DPA as well to deal with all these complaints because the GDPR just, reach another level of awareness by the data subject, I think. And a lot of people are just filing complaints with the DPAs, and it's very difficult for them to deal with all these complaints. It's new to them. I think it's new. They have to invent new procedures, new process. The cooperation mechanism in the one-stop shop is new to them as well. We must admit it. And they rarely receive additional resources. So it's a struggle for them. I really think it's the problem with the enforcement as well. It's not only the one-stop shop, it's not only the lack of will from some DPA that we will not name here, but, it's also the whole system, which is poorly designed, I would say. It's really difficult for them to enforce it efficiently. And that's why I think we are now turning to the court. That would be a new strategy and maybe it's not, I wanted to share it with you, Paul. Like, I'm happy to announce that we are planning and we are now in the final stage of creating a foundation in the Netherlands under the WAPNK, Class Action Act to be able, so we will work with Privacy First and other NGOs in the Netherlands. So we're kind of expanding to the Netherlands, so to say. And this foundation will be able to launch class actions in the Netherlands. On the same note, we also qualified as a qualified entity, as it is called, in Belgium to also be able to start collective redress in Belgium. Belgium was the only country where non-Belgian, non-national entities would be able to qualify. So we just applied. And after 2 weeks, we had our letter from the minister saying, NOYB, you can now start class actions in Belgium as well. So we are the only entity with the consumer organization in Belgium to be able to launch class action. So we are really following this path to go to the courts and, of course, waiting the implementation of the collective redress directive in 2 or 3 years. That will be the path, the way to go.
Yeah, the
sure.
Netherlands is a bit of a front runner there, apparently, and class actions for privacy have suddenly become very much in focus. I think there are 5 or 6 ongoing at the moment. One that I think we discussed before from the Privacy Collective against Oracle and one other company for ad tracking. And I think today the 4th class action against TikTok was announced.
Exactly.
There are 4 different multi-billion euro class actions against TikTok right now. So any recommendation, if you are to start class actions here in the Netherlands, maybe choose a different target because the courts will deal with TikTok already. That's covered.
But don't worry, we already have a case and we have a target.
Good. And you're not going to name them, I guess.
Of course not.
Well, it's always
a little bit of a teasing, yeah. But I hope I'm going to be able to tell more.
Somebody should be scared right now.
Somebody, that's what I hope, yeah. But not scared, It's just, we'll see. But we have a case, it's a strong case, and I really believe it's going to work. We'll see. And I hope that we're going to be a little bit more advanced in this foundation in a few weeks. And I will be able to tell more at the IPP in Brussels if we meet. That's a little bit the aim, to be ready by then to give the name and everything. We just found a nice name, a nice case, nice member of the board. It's a nice project. I really think it's a nice project, yeah.
Sounds very promising. So what else is next for NOYB? What other investigations are pending that maybe you can already mention, or what's coming?
Oh, what's coming? That's a nice question. So now we're just trying to do the follow-up on the cookies complaint for sure. So that's the first thing. As you can imagine, it was a lot of work, but it's still a lot of work to follow up. So we said have to also to follow up on the 101 complaint, the transfer complaint, because I think it's the main. I think that's the problem, how to put it. It's, we had the Schrems 1 and the Schrems 2, and as you know, enforcement is not following. As so far, we've seen only one decision from the Portuguese DPA, if I'm not wrong.
Norway as well.
Sorry, I didn't follow that.
The Norway toll road provider who was fined 5 million Norwegian kroner for transfers to China without even an SEC in place.
Exactly, there was not even an SEC. Yeah, but in this case, it's so simple that, okay, you're right. But you know what I mean? It's so obvious that. But in the other case, like at least with the Portuguese DPA, you had a mechanism, a transfer mechanism in place, but it was not sufficient, I think. But so far, no other decision, right? So it's nice to have a Schrems 1 and a Schrems 2, but you don't see anything enforced on the DPA level. And
maybe
that's
it's
also
just
another
taking time to work its way through?
No. It's not taking time. When you see the first reaction, it's not when you see the first reaction, for example, of Microsoft, that I think just Max made a nice tweet about. You could see that the reaction was not really going in the good direction. Yeah. Like they were just, explaining that they would not use. As Paul mentioned, the Article 3.2 is really complex, but we don't see any enforcement decision. And again, it would be nice to go to court to maybe not bypass, but just to have an opinion and an actual enforcement of a course, because as you know, the court cannot not decide. They have to take a decision. And maybe it's going to be even quicker and faster than a decision and a procedure before an DPA. Just to give you an example, and I refer to the website of NOYB, you can see that, for example, in a complaint that we just filed 2.5 years ago, a really simple access request we're still waiting to have the appointment of the lead authority by the Dutch DPA.
That's the case on the streaming.
The Netflix, the streaming complaint, yeah, we're still waiting. And I'm sorry, but do you need to be a privacy expert to know that Netflix is based in the Netherlands? Do you need 2.5 years? I'm just surprised. And then we're supposed to say that One Stop Shop is working. I'm sorry, but something is broken, right? It's really crazy to wait 2.5 years, not even mentioning the other complaints that we have when the DPAs lost the complaint, when, for example, in Bulgaria, when we never received any answer from the Bulgarian DPA after 101 complaint. Apparently, they only received 1 complaint, even though we just send the 4 complaints in the same email. So, it's really sometimes a little bit
Government.
discouraging to see how enforcement is followed. But on the transfer note, of course, it's tiring to go to the Court of Justice twice and still waiting for enforcement. Because I understand, Kay, you say it's a lot. It takes time, but Schrems 2 is nothing but new. Schrems 1 was already quite clear, right? And Schrems 1 was like 7 years ago. And nothing has been done. So, yeah, it takes time, but 7 years, it's a lot of time, in my opinion.
It is. And I think part of this may be one of the things that we discussed way, way early on is that here in the U.S., the attorneys are going to argue the meaning of every single word and every single comma and the placement of everything. And so the guiding decisions that are going to come out, and this was back when GDPR first came in, as we discussed, were probably not going to be the large companies because the large companies were going to fight everything. It was going to be more small to medium companies. But the DPAs did not go after the small and medium companies to begin with. And so part of it might be related to that, but I agree with you. I think at some point you have to say, seriously, y'all, this is taking way too long.
Yeah, it's really it's not a nice, and again, it's not a nice pace for the DPAs as well. And you see the EPB guidelines struggling to find what the hell is supplementary measures. I totally understand. Like, okay, thank you, court, but what is it? So they're struggling to give some hints, but it's so difficult for them to understand.
Well, not even what are they, but what are the right ones? What are the wrong ones?
What are the right ones? Obviously, yeah. And we had a recent decision of the Council of State last week in Belgium, kind of saying, okay, guys, I just see that EDPB just said it kind of encryption was okay. I don't even know in which use case they were just used, but it seems to be okay. You can transfer the data to Amazon in the US. It's fine. It's encrypted. And in clear, at rest, I don't care. It's fine. Go. So you see, it's still a lot to learn from the judges as well. But it's normal, right? It's a process. So we cannot expect, it's not because we go to court that we will have, a real enforcement of the Schrems 2. Yeah. So it's just another way. I'm not sure it's going to work immediately. We have to wait for that for sure.
But I will tell you, the encryption question is interesting because you see a lot of companies asking, well, is it encrypted from you? So only we see it? And I'm not talking about TrustArc specifically, just in general. So an individual using the services, so all my data is encrypted from the company providing the services. No. Most companies providing the service, you can't have the data encrypted to them. They're not a storage like Amazon, where you're just putting the data in there and Amazon doesn't have to do anything except store it in the servers. Usually the company that's hosting your data is actually doing something with it, and which means it can't be encrypted from them.
Exactly.
That's true. And then even end-to-end encryption only covers the data itself and not the metadata. Only, what was it, yesterday? So that was on Monday, the 6th of September. Proton Mail, which is a very respected mail client out of Switzerland, had to admit that they were tracking the IP addresses following a warrant from a court in one specific case for French environmental, because IP addresses are not part of the end-to-end encryption.
Right.
They usually don't store them, but now they were under court order to provide the information. So they had to give it. But it is still a big row because this is a company that admittedly has a name for being privacy friendly, for being privacy activist.
Recommend them when people ask. Not officially.
Well, and I
from
still
TrustArc,
like them. And I mean,
me.
at the same time, nobody is above the law. So if you get a court order that tells you to comply and the court order is valid, you can fight it. But in the end, you will need to listen to a final ruling of the court.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and the fact that people need to understand there are certain parts of encrypted messages that can't be encrypted, such as a phone number for a text message or an email for an email message, because you can't encrypt those in order for them to be delivered. Got to know where to send it.
No, it's a difficult, it's a tough one, of course, for the judges as well. And we have to admit that it's a difficult question for sure. And I think it's nice to work together, that instead of like pretending that everything is fine and there is encryption. And that's, I feel, a little bit the message that we heard, right? And the message that, for example, we hate it, and I personally hate it so much, is this new concept of transfer impact assessment. I hate it so much. I'm sorry, but I read the GDPR like 1,000 times, and I've never seen any impact and risk-based approach in the transfer. So it's really something that at NOYB we're trying to avoid so much, because we have a lot of answer from the importer and the exporters trying to pretend that it was such a thing as the transfer impact assessment, which I think is a nice buzzword invented by the CIPL or whatever. But it's not something to be found in the GDPR. But it's a nice try because it worked. But it's
I'm
nothing.
not sure I agree with you.
Of course, Paul.
I do see.
But you wanted to have a provocative
foundations.
discussion, right? You have it.
Yeah, I know. I do see foundations in the GDPR for a risk-based approach to international transfers.
Whereas I'm doing wonderful blank face here.
Yeah, no, but that doesn't mean that you can just say you did a risk assessment and leave it at that. You need to do it properly, document the risks, mitigate the risks. But I do see that there is some basis for it. But
I see, but I think it depends.
That's a whole different discussion.
It depends on the definition of what is a risk-based approach then. I think it's the whole point. Yeah, it's the whole point, I think. It's really that. We don't talk about the same thing. I think not the three of us, but like when you go to conferences, you can see that we don't have the same understanding of what is a risk-based approach. And I think that's the problem.
Get 3 privacy professionals in a room and have how many opinions?
Exactly.
7, 8.
Exactly. That's really a thing. But
we are coming towards the end of our recording time, Romain. Anything that you haven't shared with us yet that you were told to or wanted to share during the
I was not told to say anything. I'm still a free man.
What were you afraid we were going to ask that we didn't?
Oh, nothing. I was not really afraid. I was just curious. Like I was like, so far so good. So just bring it on. I want to hear the tough ones. No, I think it's a nice announcement that we could say. I'm happy to announce that we are hiring now. We just published last week, thank you, we just published 2 openings for legal positions, so 2 legal positions for GDPR lawyers experts. We'd see mid-level senior experts to join the team, and also a full-stack developer. Nice. So I invite you to go on the websites and to apply. We just opened a position like 1 or 2 weeks ago, so we're just receiving application right now, and I would encourage anyone listening to the podcast, if you're, feeling that you have some sharing the objective and the spirit of NOYB, that you like what NOYB is doing, it's time for you to join.
If you're a bit of an activist.
And that's an interesting question as well that you were mentioning, Paul, because it's interesting to see that we are considered as activists. It's crazy. Would you say that about Berg, a consumer organization? You just say there are lawyers working for consumer organization. When people talk about NOYB or Max Schrems, it's a privacy activist. Is crazy. So when you're just trying to enforce privacy, you're an activist. And when like Google or Facebook, you're reaching the law, you call innovative or creative. So it's really interesting to see.
As I would say in proper English, c'est le ton qui fait la musique.
Exactly.
And you never hear Beuk, to be blunt.
No, you hear.
They put out some press releases, but you make sure that the world hears what you are doing. And I think that's
but if it's the definition of an activist, I would say it's good PR. You know what I mean? But
and for me, an activist is something positive.
Of course, it's positive, but I think it's usually used by some people to say, "Oh, these activists, they are crossing the line and going too far." Guys, we just file complaints. We're not making a decision. It's the same as a consumer organization. A law firm is not doing differently. We just represent consumers and
evangelists.
We just represent consumers and data subjects, and we go to court or to DPAs to defend their interest. A law firm is not doing otherwise, and they are not called activists, right? So that's something that I want to... Yeah, they should not... So an interesting term that we use a lot, and I'm not sure I'm totally convinced with this notion to be called an activist. As you say, it's positive, but I'm just afraid that it's used in a way that I don't really like. We're just doing the job of other people like law firms and everything.
Just doing the job. I think
And
that's a great note to end on.
So if you want to join an organization which is for some activists, for some just an enforcement organization, just go on our website. I think it's a great team to work. Vienna is amazing. And I really think I'm so happy to have joined NOYB 1 year and a half. I think it was the best move that I ever made. And I'm so happy to work with wonderful people. And it's so nice. And I want to mention as well, but I think I just did it at the beginning of the podcast, that I'm so happy to see you because I'm listening to your podcast every week on my little bike going to the office. And I love to hear your voice. And I think you have a great show. It's really nice to hear you. It's so fun to hear you.
Well, it's even more fun this time with you on board.
But hearing privacy and listening to privacy and having fun is not that often. And I think it's so cool to have that with you. No, I think it's so great. Like, you learn a lot. Like, you really learn a lot by listening to your podcast. And I think that people will learn a lot today, not only about Belgian waffles, but also it's fun.
Well, spread the word. And on that note, thank you, Romain, for joining us this week. Thank you for being our guest.
Thank you for having me. It was a real pleasure.
All our listeners for joining us for yet another episode of Serious Privacy. If you like us, please do tell your friends and colleagues about us. Rate and review our episodes in your favorite podcast app or on your favorite podcast platform. Should you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to reach out to us via seriousprivacy@trustarc.com or ping us at our LinkedIn page. Just look for Serious Privacy, or via Twitter at @podcastprivacy. You will find Kay on Twitter as Heart of Privacy and myself as Europol B. Until next week, goodbye.
Bye, y'all.
That was Serious Privacy.
If you're a data protection or privacy professional, you already know the pressure. Non-stop regulatory change, AI oversight, internal demands, and the expectation to somehow stay ahead of it all. And the old patchwork of tools just isn't cutting it anymore.
No. That's why TrustArc created a modern privacy management platform powered by Arc Intelligence. The TrustArc platform brings your workflows, evidence, research, tasks, and applications all together in one unified and intelligent workspace so you don't waste time digging, clicking, or context switching.
With Ask Arc, your privacy assistant, you can ask plain language questions about laws, jurisdictions, or even your own program data and get credible, cited answers based on NIMD research and more than 1,000 global laws. It's explainable, transparent, and purpose-built for data protection and privacy.
So if you need to add a vendor, create a cookie banner, or start an assessment, quick actions take formally complex tasks, turn them into bite-sized guided workflows to save you time.
It's a platform that thinks like you, works like you, and helps you move faster with confidence, whether you're a seasoned DPO or you're just getting started.
See how modern privacy gets done. Explore Arc at trustarc.com/serious-privacy. That's trustarc.com/serious-privacy.